A couple of other, topics I just wanted to put on the table here for this first hour. Last night on the Jimmy Kimmel Live show, Donald Trump agreed to debate Bernie Sanders. This is getting interesting. Hillary has declined a request from the Sanders campaign to debate. Here's the clip.
Because he's going to be here tomorrow to ask a question. Have you met Bernie? Have you guys ever met before?
I've never really had the privilege.
I see. Okay, so here's the question from Bernie. He asked, Hillary Clinton backed out of an agreement to debate me in California before the June 7th primary.
Right.
Are you prepared to debate the major issues facing our largest state and the country before the California primary? Yes or no? He wants to know if you will debate him.
Yes, I am. How much is he going to pay me?
You would do it for a price? What would the price be?
Yeah, because if I debated him, we would have such high ratings, and I think I should take that money and give it to some worthy charity, okay?
So if it was done for charity, you would agree to do that?
If he paid a nice sum toward a charity, I would love to do that.
Oh, interesting. What if the network put up the money and then you guys came in?
That could happen also.
So that, very interesting. Just a heads up, and tonight Bernie's going to be on Jimmy Kimmel talking about that. Meanwhile, Congressman Tim Ryan, Donald Trump was pointing out that as a businessman, he kind of likes it when people lose their homes and people, he didn't say it that way, obviously. He said when property values crash, I can buy it cheap and I can make more money. Which is, the billionaire's perspective. It's absolutely true. Rich people, really rich people, made a lot of money in the Great Depression and made a lot of money in the last recession. And Congressman Tim Ryan went to the floor of the House of Representatives day before yesterday to raise some serious hell about this. And I think it's a brilliant riff. Here he is.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Back in 2005, 6, and 7 in Ohio, we saw, and then 8, and 9, and 10, we saw a housing crisis unlike anything we've ever seen before. We saw almost 400,000 people in Ohio, families, lose their home. We saw over 400,000 job losses. We saw a 16% decrease in housing values in Ohio. And all the while, hundreds of miles away, perched in the gold-plated towers of the Trump building in New York City, there was a billionaire saying, I hope this happens. I hope the housing market collapses. I hope people get thrown from their homes. I hope they file bankruptcy because that will be good for me. Shame, shame that we have a major leader of a major party rooting against families in Ohio, in Pennsylvania, in Florida, in Colorado. Shame on you, Mr. Trump. You're supposed to be rooting for the American people, not rooting against them.
So if there's a Trump-Bernie debate, I'm guessing that would be a big piece of it. But it could get very interesting. It could get fascinating. Finally, Elizabeth Warren has been playing the traditional role of vice president to Hillary Clinton, presumably, or Bernie Sanders for that matter. Although it looks more and more like Hillary's got this thing sewn up, but still, you never know. A, and B. Well, I guess that's the whole thing. But Elizabeth Warren, the traditional role in a campaign of the vice president is to be outrageous and say the things that the presidential candidate, needs to be above. Now, Donald Trump is playing both roles. He's both the presidential candidate and the insulter. But Elizabeth Warren has been going after him like there's no tomorrow. It's just incredible. So I'm increasingly now. In the past I've said I didn't think that Elizabeth Warren would be a good pick for Hillary to put on the ticket because it would be two women. My wife has convinced me that I am wrong. That misogyny is not that overwhelming in the United States. That it would be impossible for two women to be elected president and vice president. And I think that she's probably right. And in addition to that, Elizabeth Warren would provide the kind of Bernie balance to a Clinton ticket. On the other hand, if it was Elizabeth Warren as the vice presidential candidate with Senator Sanders, would it be too progressive? Interesting question. I think not, because I think that what we're calling progressive and what we're calling, democratic socialist or whatever is mainstream America. Now, I realize, in fact, I saw the buttons the other day that somebody posted them over on Democratic Underground. Say no to socialism, say no to Medicare. That was back in the 60s. And then in the 1930s, the Republican Party had buttons that people wore that says, say no to socialism, say no to Social Security. So, there's nothing coming out of Bernie's mouth that wasn't coming out of Franklin Roosevelt's mouth. I mean, some of it is a little more updated, the climate change stuff. But basically, and for that matter, increasingly from Hillary Clinton as well, and from Democrats right across the board. There's a real rapid return to the core values of the Democratic Party, which I think is just an absolutely marvelous thing all the way across the board.
To watch more clips from our programs, hit the Watch More Videos button over here. And please be sure to hit the handy-dandy subscribe button so you'll always be up to date. Tag, you're it.